So, the background to this case is this. The coronavirus pandemic gave rise to economic tensions and consequently legal disputes in the commercial landlord and tenant sector. In particular, where businesses were forced to close as a result of COVID, much resentment arose amongst tenants, where they were generally liable to pay rent, but had no ability to run their businesses and generate income to pay the rent demanded. Cine UK was a seminal first instance case concerning the impact of COVID on landlord and tenants, principally the consequences arising from where the tenant's business was closed during lockdown. The decision favoured the landlord, and the tenant appealed. The Court of Appeal upheld the original decision. The central issue is whether a notice to quit served by a landlord on the correct tenant, but which incorrectly identified the tenant within the notice, was valid. What are the facts? Well, the tenant, Mr. Thomas, was granted a tenancy of a farm by the then owner of the farm. There was no restriction on assignment. Mr. Thomas later incorporated a company with the registered address of the company being his home address. Mr. Thomas assigned the tenancy, as he was able to do, to the new company without landlord consent or knowledge. Unaware, the current landlord served a notice to quit on Mr. Thomas as tenant at his home address. Knotweed. Knotweed is a knotty problem. What was an ornamental plant introduced by the Victorians has spread as much fear and panic as the plant itself has spread across the country. Knotweed spread is prolific, and the damage it can cause is seen as a risk to property foundations, walls, and even flood defences. It therefore is a nuisance plant, even if in many cases it doesn't pose much of a risk to property at all. It can be treated and it can be removed. However, in the property industry, it has been a source of much controversy as to its impact on physical property and, importantly, the valuation of that property. A 2013 study by Nottingham Trent University suggests that knotweed infestations reduced a property's value by as much as 15%. That's quite a diminution, especially in the southeast. So compare the diminution in value to the cost of actual treatment. There is quite a disconnect. In Davis and Bridgend, knotweed had spread from the council's land, which was an old railway embankment, onto Mr. Davis's land before he bought it in 2004. Now, he wasn't very observant because he only became aware of the knotweed in 2017, many years later, and ultimately issued a claim in 2019.